I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth.
All that we have accomplished in space, all that we may accomplish in days and years to come, we stand ready to share for the benefit of all mankind.
As we explore the reaches of space, let us go to the new worlds together, not as new worlds to be conquered, but as a new adventure to be shared.
Welcome to the BTM channel. I'm your host, Predated Tech. On July 16, 1969, many were watching the imminent launch of the Apollo 11 moon mission on a TV much like this one, meaning a television that used a cathode ray tube to display the picture. The cathode ray tube, or CRT for short, was the primary technology used for televisions from 1934 until 2007, with a widespread adoption of plasma displays. In 1969, the vast majority of CRT televisions being watched were black and white. Color CRT TVs began to be commercially available in 1954, but they were expensive, and many television broadcasting stations did not convert to color signals until the 1970s. However, the CRT television's aging technology and expiring patent portfolio made it possible for inexpensive sets to be eventually mass-produced. This particular color CRT TV is a 1992 Kmart Model 13CNRE, made by Korea Electronics Company Limited. KEC for short, found in 1969, started making color CRT TVs in 1981. Although it produced millions of units during the 1980s and 1990s, KEC eventually graduated from color TVs to semiconductors. Kmart, founded in 1899 as SS Kresge, is still in business at the time of this episode in about 200 locations, down from its peak of 2,000 stores in the year this TV was manufactured. Let's examine the 13CNRE and see how it works.
With the commercialization of the telephone in 1876 and the invention of motion photography in 1888, interest in the transmission of motion images instantaneously grew. Over the next few decades, a number of engineers, scientists, and tinkerers experimented with a variety of light-sensitive devices and electromagnetic transmission methods. In 1925, a Scottish inventor named Baird married an imaging technique patented in Germany in 1884 with the invention by an American of the three-pole vacuum tube in 1906 to create an electromechanical television system. The electromechanical TV set featured a viewscreen of only 2 to 3 inches across and about 30 lines of resolution, but the system worked. Cathode ray tube technology, however, proved to be superior in that the transmitting and receiving equipment could be smaller, the viewing screens larger, and the resolution of the images better. Cathode ray tube-based television starts with the camera. The image enters through a clear lens and strikes a light-sensitive charge plate near the end of the receiving cathode ray tube. Electrons are emitted in a tight beam from the rear of the tube to the plate and swept across the plate in a horizontal pattern to read the pattern now imprinted on the plate. This information is amplified and forwarded to the television studio's transmitter, where it is broadcast over the air. The television signal is intercepted by a home's VUHF antenna and forwarded to the television set, which is tuned to the frequency of that signal. The cathode ray tube of the television processes the signal in the reverse order of the camera, that is, emitting electrons in a tight beam from the rear of the tube to the phosphor-coated front of the tube, and swept across the screen in a horizontal pattern that can be seen from the other side of the tube by the viewer. It had been about 10 years since I had given up my last CRT TV, so it was necessary to acquire a unit for this episode. It had been years since the local thrift stores would accept CRT TV donations, so that was not an option. The local solid waste transfer station, owned by the county, probably ships a train car load every week of discarded CRT TVs, so I went there with the intent of rescuing one. The staff quickly disabused me of this notion, saying that all trash dropped off at the facility was government property and that attempts to reclaim it was theft. I thought this was an overreaction, but a check on the local and state statutes indeed confirmed it. Anyway, back to my search. Sites like Recycle do trickle out aged electronics, but none surfaced during my episode window. That meant going to eBay where CRT TVs are still plentiful. They are also expensive since the CRT TV's weight makes it expensive to ship. Fortunately, a local seller listed a unit and they dropped off the TV for free after receiving my payment. This TV was complete with the exception of the antenna, which normally fits in a slot on top rear of the case. The power cord is permanently affixed to the TV's internals, unlike modern TVs. The case of this TV is made from plastic, with the front end masked with a faux wood grain pattern. Heat from the TV is dissipated through a vented bottom, where you can also find the dials that control brightness, contrast, tint, and color. One side of the TV had some white latex paint splatter, signs that it sat a little too close to some home maintenance activity, but no harm done. The rear of the TV has a small hole at the bottom for vertical hold control and 3 connectors on the left center for UHF and VHF input. This TV does not have a remote control, so channel selection is done by twisting either a UHF or VHF dial on the front of the case and to the right of the screen. The volume control dial doubles as the power switch, and a button for the automatic fine-tuning is available to resolve station signals that differ slightly from the factory frequency presets. This 1992 CRT TV disassembled easily, with the removal of about 8 screws from the rear of the case. The hardwired power cord and video signal input terminals made lifting the rear of the chassis a little tricky, but there was enough slack to place the rear aside. The speaker for the 13 CNRE can be seen to the upper right of your screen, which places it in the lower right of the case below the channel controls. As would be expected for 1992, this TV features integrated circuits assisting tuning and signal processing. But other than these 2 chips, the interior configuration of this TV differs little from a unit 40 years before it. Copper windings at the rear of the tube allow the TV to control the electron beam that creates images. The wide side of the tube is painted black to the rear and with a phosphor coating facing the front. Reassembling the TV is a little harder than disassembling it, as the printed circuit board must fit exactly into a narrow receiving slot at the rear of the case. But eventually, even I can figure it out.
CRT TVs had several disadvantages that this Philips plasma screen TV advertisement from 1998 highlighted. The biggest was that the display tube needed a lot of space. By the 1990s, tubes were reaching 36 inches in screen size, but the cabinet needed for such a tube was massive. You certainly couldn't hang it on the wall, and it wouldn't fit in a narrow space. CRT TVs also drew an immense amount of power. The final nail in the coffin for the CRT TV was its resolution. Although the modern CRT TV was several orders of magnitude better in picture quality than pre-World War II CRT TVs or mechanical TVs, they still couldn't produce high-definition images. Plasma display technology was conceived in the 1930s and implemented successfully in the 1960s, but the technological restrictions of the day meant that screen sizes were small and unit costs were astronomical. This meant that plasma displays tended to appear only in avionics, high-end computers, or ruggedized man-portable equipment. That finally changed in the 1990s with advances made by Japanese electronics manufacturers in both screen size and costs. By the time of the 2007-2008 Great Recession, the CRT TV market was dead. I hope you enjoyed watching this episode on the cathode ray tube television and the Kmart Model 13 CNRE. If so, make sure you click on the like button. YouTube places particular importance on subscribers, so please show your support by clicking on the subscribe button. Clicking the bell icon will make sure that you receive notifications of new episodes. Links to material related to this video, episodes 1 through 4, the BTM channel, and the Apollo 11 moon mission can be found below. Be sure to check out the channel feed on Instagram where I post sneak peeks of upcoming episodes and photos of products we are working on. Exclusive content is available for those viewers that subscribe to the channel on Patreon, the link to which is also available below along with the channel's snail mail address. Thanks for watching.